Hello there, and welcome to Whispers to Sleep. My name is David, and I'm truly honored to be your guide tonight. Here we believe sleep is not just a routine. It's a gentle journey, a quiet return to peace every night. I craft stories with care, so your mind can rest and your body can soften all you need to do. Let go, take a slow deep breath in, and as you breathe out, allow the day to melt away. Close your eyes. Get cozy under the covers and let my voice lead you into calm, into comfort, into dreams. This is your time. Your memento. Truly relax. Let's begin. The feather falls. Not fast, not slow. It drifts, spiraling as if caught in the rhythm of your breath. The air around it is quiet, heavy with the hush that comes just before sleep. You don't chase it, you only watch. One side is black as ink, the other glints like polished coal in the last light of day. Somehow, the world seems to pause for its descent. Time, suspended on a single silken filament dot, you lie still, listening to the invisible air that carries it. A wind without sound, a moment without edges. Somewhere nearby, the leaves barely stir, but inside you, something begins to loosen. The thoughts that once clung tightly begin to flutter. You feel them, like birds startled from trees. The feather belongs to the raven, not just any raven, but the raven, a silent observer with eyes that see past the surface, beyond the moment. It watches you now from its perch far above, calm and unmoved, as if it has been waiting. In fairy tales, ravens are messengers, tricksters, keepers of forgotten truths. But here tonight, it is simply a guide. You watch the feather spiral closer to the earth, and your breathing matches its fall, slow, even, soft. The more it drops, the more grounded you feel. Strange, isn't it? That something falling from the sky can make you feel so anchored. But that's how sleep begins, not by climbing, but by letting go. You close your eyes for a moment, and the world shifts. Suddenly, you're standing in a field where the feather has just landed. Golden light pours in from behind gray-blue clouds, like the day is deciding whether to stay or go. The grass brushes against your legs, gentle as whispers, and all around you is space. Space to breathe, space to think, space to wonder. Your mind begins to quiet. It doesn't stop, no. The mind never truly stops, but it slows. And in that slowing, it softens. The edges blur, and the questions that once felt sharp now seem like soft footprints in damp soil. You don't need answers right now. Just awareness, just presence. You kneel and pick up the feather. It is lighter than it looks, hollow yet strong. A perfect structure, rigid where it must be, flexible where it can. It reminds you of the bones inside your own body. Hollow too, but designed for movement, for breath, for life. The feather's shaft, called a rachis, runs down its center, firm and unbending. From it, the barbs stretch outward, like fine threads woven into form. If you look close, really close, you can see the tiny hooks that hold it all together. Microscopic, but essential. Without them, the feather would fall apart. Without structure, no softness can survive. It is in this detail, this fragile architecture, that science lives. A design shaped by evolution, perfected not in a lab, but in the endless trial, error of wind and sky. The raven's feather is not just beautiful. It is efficient, functional, tested by time, and trusted by flight. And isn't that what the story is too? A structure like a feather, holding meaning in place? Stories are designed not just to entertain, but to carry you, to lift you, to make the journey from one state to another, from wakefulness into dreaming. The story of the raven begins long ago. A girl, a spell, a transformation. A princess turned into a bird. But before you meet her, Before you enter that forest, you linger here with the feather, because the feather is not just the beginning. It is the invitation. It says, "Follow me." And so you do. You walk through the meadow, the feather in hand. Around you, everything slows. The sun lowers its voice. The air thickens with dusk. Ahead, the trees rise like tall thoughts waiting to be. Explore. One step at a time, you near the edge of the forest. It is quiet, but not silent. Kind of living quiet, full of insects humming low, branches creaking under their own weight, birds rustling high above. Your senses sharpen, but your body stays calm. The forest does not scare you. It welcomes you. There is something about forests, ancient, familiar. Science tells us that walking among trees lowers your heart rate, reduces stress, calms this nervous system. It's called forest bathing, not with water, but with presence. A soaking in of stillness. Your feet find the path as if they've walked it before. Moss cushions each step, and above, the canopy filters the last of the light. You don't rush. There's no need to. In this space, time has a different shape. Not linear, but circular. Not urgent, but unfolding. In your hand, the feather remains a quiet talisman. A reminder that transformation begins with noticing, with pausing, with the choice to listen instead of speak. You hear something. Not words, but rhythm, like distant wings or a heartbeat deep in the earth. It's the story, stirring, preparing to rise. You are not just reading it. You are entering it. The feather lifts slightly in your hand, not by magic, but by the tiniest breeze winding through the trees. It shivers once, then settles, and you wonder, if a feather can carry flight, if a forest can quiet the mind, what can memory do when you begin to see it not as fact, but as reflection? The path deepens. The forest hushes around you, like the inside of a held breath. The air here feels softer, more thoughtful, as if it remembers every footstep, every pause, every whisper that's passed through its trees. You feel it too. That strange sense of déjà vu, like you've walked this place before, but only in dreams. In your hand, the feather remains. Light, grounding, a black ribbon of sky fallen to earth. But it's no longer just an object. It's a thought, a thread, a symbol of something deeper. Memory. Memory is not what you think it is. You imagine it like a bookshelf, neat, organized, reliable. But memory doesn't work that way. It isn't fixed. It shifts. It rewrites itself. It molds to your emotions, your stories, your beliefs. Your brain, the quiet space between your ears, doesn't store memories like files. It recreates them. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds it from fragments. Like mist forming on a still lake, the image appears again, soft and shifting. You walk slowly now, the feather brushing your palm. And as you walk, your mind begins to wander, gently, without effort. Images rise and fall like waves. A childhood tree, a friend's voice, the scent of rain on warm pavement. Each one is a memory. Or is it? Because memories are not truth. They are interpretations, reflections, mirrors of what was, shaped by what is. The science of memory calls it reconsolidation. Each time you recall, you alter, not with lies, but with emotion. With experience. You step into a clearing where sunlight filters through leaves like spilled gold. A pool of water waits at the center, still, unbroken, glass-like. You move closer, and in its reflection, you see not just your face. You see yourself thinking, and this is the mirror. Your mind. The brain is a mirror with no edges. Its reflections include not only the past, but the possible. Imagination and memory live in the same neighborhood, the same networks, the same neural maps. That's why dreams feel real. That's why you can close your eyes and visit a moment, you haven't lived, or one you've lived 1,000 times. You kneel beside the water. The feather floats across the surface, its movement, sending ripples outward, concentric rings spreading like time. You watch them expand, then fade. This is how your mind works. A thought, a ripple, a fading. Even now, as you listen, your brain is gently rearranging itself. Synapses connecting, chemicals shifting, glia cells cleaning up the mental space. Like caretakers of a garden. Sleep strengthens memory, but it also clears away the noise, the unnecessary, the static. That's why the forest feels so good. It mirrors your internal world, slow, rhythmic, quiet. The mind likes patterns. And here, in this story, your mind finds rhythm. The story of the raven, after all, begins with a loss. A daughter disappears. A mother grieves. And the girl becomes a bird, a raven, vanishing into the trees. But this isn't just a story of magic. It's a story of memory, of forgetting who you were to become who you are. You gaze again into the pool. Now you see something else, flickering shapes beneath the surface. Faint memories not your own, the thoughts of others, of ancestors, of the billions of neurons that fired before you were even born. Because your memory isn't just personal. It's ancestral, passed down through genes, instincts, stories. Your brain holds echoes of people you've never met, places you've never been. Isn't that what fairy tales are? Echoes. They live in collective memory, in archetypes, in characters that feel familiar even when you meet them for the first time. The raven, dark, knowing, watching. The forest, mysterious, sacred, alive. The feather, transformation, descent, invitation. You rise from the water's edge and continue walking. As you do, you begin to notice how the forest holds memories too. A tree ring tells of a heart. Winter. A trail remembers the feet that wore it smooth. A broken branch whispers of a deer that passed through days ago. The world is full of mirrors, and you are always reflected in them. You pause at a fallen tree, its roots exposed like the tangled thoughts at the base of your own consciousness. Your fingers trace the bark, rough and solid, and beneath it, layers, rings, cells, time itself, captured in silent witness. This is how memory stores itself in nature, slowly, without words dotting your mind. The story continues. A girl turned raven watches from the trees. The world has forgotten her name, but memory doesn't need names. It needs feeling, connection, recognition. Even now, you feel connected to her. Not because you know her story, but because you feel her loneliness, her transformation, her flight. You close your eyes again. Behind your eyelids, images form. Not dreams yet, but soft impressions. The feather, the pool, the mirror of thought. You breathe in deeply. The scent of earth and pine fills your lungs. You hold it. Then let it go. In that breath is a memory being made. A moment etched, however faintly, into the architecture of your brain. And maybe one day you'll remember this, not as a chapter, not as a bedtime story, but as a feeling, a pause, a moment of stillness in the rush of everything else. That is what memory often is. Not a movie, but a mood. Not a sentence, but a scent. Not a fact, but a feeling. You continue along the path, your mind lighter, your body softer. The trees thicken, the light dims, and ahead, a subtle glow beckons through the branches, a shimmer of something about to be understood. And as you move toward it, a quiet question forms. If memory is a mirror, and mirrors reflect only what they're shown, then how does the brain know what to keep and what to let fade into the forest of neurons beyond? The path narrows. The trees thicken around you, rising like silent sentinels into the night. Shadows stretch across the trail, long and calm. You breathe in the cool, damp air, not with urgency, but ease. There is no hurry here. No destination, only direction. Above you, the canopy weaves a soft ceiling of leaves. Light filters through in quiet shafts, not too bright, not too dark, just enough to keep going. You move forward slowly, with the feather still tucked. In your palm, the forest hums. Not with noise, but with presence. It's as though the trees themselves are whispering. Not in words, but in something deeper, a language of roots and wind and waiting. And you begin to notice something. Every tree feels like a thought. Some are tall and sturdy, ideas you've known for years. Others are small and young, just beginning to stretch. Some twist and split, like questions with more than one answer. Some stand alone, while others grow in groves, thoughts clustered by theme. This forest is your brain. Not literally, of course, but metaphorically, poetically. It mirrors what science knows, that your thoughts move like signals through a dense network. Not in straight lines, but in branching patterns. A forest of neurons. You pause beside a tree with silver bark. You run your fingers along it and imagine the electric charge that leaps from one neuron to another. The action potential, as it's called. A tiny spark. A whisper of intent. When a neuron fires, it's like lightning flashing from one tree to the next. A synapse, the space between, is crossed in an instant. The message carries on, flickering through the mind like a path lit moment by moment. And just like your path through this forest, the brain chooses its trails. Not all signals are sent. Not all roads are followed. But the more often a path is walked, the clearer it becomes. Neurons that fire together, wire together. That's the phrase scientists use. It means that habits, thoughts, even emotions, they're not fixed. They're practiced, rehearsed, strengthened over time. You keep walking. The trail forks. To the left, the way is smooth, familiar. To the right, it's less clear, newer, wild with undergrowth. You hesitate, then smile. The brain does this too. It chooses the known unless invited to change. You step right, and now you're in the thicket, the curious place where thoughts are born. Here, the trees are thinner, but brighter. They shimmer faintly, like new ideas testing the air. These are dendrites, the receiving ends of neurons, branching like twigs, waiting for connection. You touch one, not with your hand, but with your awareness, and just like that, a memory sparks. A name, a scent, a question you forgot you wanted to ask. It floats up, then settles again, like a leaf returning to earth. You don't chase it. You let it be, because the mind is not a machine. It's a garden. It grows where it's tended. It prunes what's unused. As you move deeper, you come upon a clearing where the ground pulses softly beneath your feet. This is the thalamus, you think, the brain's gatekeeper, deciding what to sense, what to ignore. A filter in the middle of everything. In the real brain, it's a small structure, deep, unseen. But here, it feels vast. The forest opens like breath expanding in your chest. You pause. All around you, paths crisscross. They loop and spiral and fade into mist. You see possibilities, the thoughts that never reached your mouth, the ideas you dismissed, the feelings you barely named. It's beautiful and slightly sad. Not everything in the brain becomes conscious. Not every signal reaches the surface, but that's okay. That's part of the design. In this forest, even silence serves a purpose. Even stillness is intelligent. You move on. Your steps slower now, deliberate, kind. And soon you come to a river, winding and glimmering under the faintest starlight. It flows without sound, yet you know it's alive. This is the bloodstream of thought, perhaps a metaphor for neurotransmitters. The brain's messengers, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, each one a different current, each one shaping your emotional weather. You kneel by the water, watch as it shimmers past, and you think of how a single thought, a single word, can change your chemistry, how kindness softens the heart, how fear sharpens the mind, how love rewires the whole system. And here, beside this river, you understand. The brain is not cold. It is not just wires and switches it feels. It adapts. It remembers in ways science still tries to grasp. You dip your fingers into the stream. It's neither warm nor cold, just steady, balanced, and in that moment, you feel something shift inside, a recalibration, a quiet harmony. You rise and cross a small bridge, worn smooth by invisible footsteps. The feather, still in your grasp, seems to hum, not with sound, but with meaning. You are not lost in this forest. You are woven into it. Each step you take forms a new connection, a new path for thought. And somewhere, deeper still, the raven watches. Its wings folded, its gaze patient, because soon the story must continue. Soon the question must be asked. What guides all these signals? What tells them where to go? What gives the mind its light, its insight, its spark? The forest darkens, but you do not feel lost. Instead, you feel lit from within, as if something inside you begins to glow. Not brightly, not harshly, but gently. Like a candle flickering behind your ribs, you keep walking. The ground beneath you is soft with moss, and the trees curve above like the ribs of a cathedral. Then you see it, a single thread of light weaving through the woods, thin as silk, golden as sunrise. It winds between the trees like a thought in motion. You follow it, your steps slowing, your breath deepening. This thread is not made of light alone. It is carrying light, and you begin to realize you are not just a body in this forest. You are a body made of forest. Because inside you, something very similar is happening. Right now, even as you lie in bed, eyes closed, breathing slow. Your nervous system is alive with quiet signals. A web of threads, transmitting language not in words, but in pulses. This is the language of light, not the kind you see with your eyes, but the kind your body uses to understand. A neuron fires. A charge travels. An impulse leaps the gap, and that, in a single spark, is communication. The body doesn't need sentences. It uses electricity. It sends its stories in flashes and currents. Like fireflies blinking across summer air. You come to a tree where strands of light wrap the trunk, pulsing like a heartbeat. And you know, this is how messages move through your body, from brain to limb, from skin to spine, from eye to mind. The visual world you see every day, it begins with photons, tiny particles of light. They hit the back of your eye, where cells called photoreceptors wait, rods and cones, shapes and color, dark and brightness. Those cells translate light into signal. The signal travels along the optic nerve, reaching your brain, which decodes the image. But the image isn't reality. It's your brain's best guess at reality. You don't see with your eyes, you see with your brain. And your brain sees by interpreting. Electricity. You sit on a log, watching the light thread swirl past. It splits and recombines, like thought-finding words. Like music choosing notes. Touch, too, is a lightless sense. When your fingers graze the surface of bark or fabric or skin, they trigger a signal. That signal moves through the spinal cord, a quiet shimmer, until it reaches the brain. And only then do you feel. Even sound is light, in a way. Not literal light, but energy. Vibrations in the air. Pressure waves dancing through space. Your ears turn those waves into electrical pulses. Those pulses become sound. And the sound becomes memory, meaning, music. You rise. The forest ahead is glowing now, not from sunlight, but from within. As if each tree, each stone, each branch carries its own small circuit. You step through this illuminated world and feel how much your own body reflects it. Your heart, sending pressure signals to the brain. Your lungs, adjusting breath-based. On need, your skin, sensing temperature, vibration, wind. The nervous system, so often unseen, is constantly speaking, constantly listening. And at the center of this light language is the synapse, a microscopic gap. The pause between one neuron and the next dot, it's a pause that contains everything. Choice, memory, action. The signal doesn't jump without help. It needs molecules, called neurotransmitters, to carry the message across. Serotonin, dopamine, GABA, glutamate, tiny messengers. Ferrying emotion and intention. It's like a relay race, with each molecule passing the baton of light to the next. And depending on the chemistry, the result is focus or calm, joy or sadness, action or sleep. You touch your chest. Beneath your ribs, your vagus nerve stretches down, connecting brain to body like the root of a great tree. It slows your heart, calms your breath, reminds your body that it is safe. You begin to feel that now, safety. Not because the world has changed, but because you've listened to the light inside. You reach a clearing where thousands of golden threads float through. The air. They pass silently through the branches, drifting like pollen, weaving around your hands. Each one represents a signal. You close your eyes, and instead of darkness, you see them still. Tiny sparks of communication, moving from thought to limb, from idea to emotion. This is the invisible world your body lives in. Electricity, chemistry, a language so old, even stars once spoke it, for the same forces that carry light in your nerves once shaped galaxies, photons, electrons, charge and flow. Now they tell your body when to sleep, when to dream, when to heal. You lie down in the soft moss. The feather slips from your hand and floats upward for the first time, caught on a swirl of energy. You smile, eyes still closed. And in that moment, you remember, you are not just a body made of cells. You are a being made of signals, a consciousness shaped by currents, a story told in pulses of light. And now, as you rest, your mind will keep whispering. Your nerves will keep listening. And somewhere deep within, another spark begins, asking softly, if light can carry thought, can thought become feeling? Can energy become emotion? You feel it before you know it. A change, subtle, not in your steps, but in your chest. The air in the forest softens, and your heart, though steady, seems to echo louder now, as if the trees are listening. Somewhere, the story continues. A raven watches from above. A girl waits in silence, lost in a spell. But here, right now, the magic is not in the feathers or the forests. It is in you, in your chest, in the quiet, unassuming rhythm of the heart. The heart, long mistaken as just a pump, is so much more. It beats, yes, a pulse of muscle and timing. But it also listens. It senses. It speaks, not in words, but in rhythm. Your heart communicates with your brain, not just by blood, but by signal. With every beat, it sends information upward, telling your mind if you feel safe or anxious, steady or scattered. The vagus nerve, that great golden root that stretches down from your brainstem, wraps itself around your heart like a soft ribbon. It listens to the pace. It adjusts your breath. It tells your entire body what mood to wear. You pause beside a tree with bark so smooth it reflects starlight. You press your palm to it and feel, somehow, the echo of your own pulse in the stillness. Your feeling is not just heartbeat. It is emotion. Because emotion is not just something you feel in the heart. It is something the heart helps you feel. Science calls it the heart-brain connection. Signals move in both directions. The brain processes events. The heart responds with rhythm. When you're anxious, the beat is erratic. When you're calm, it smooths. When you're in love, really deeply moved, it synchronizes with your breath in a soft, flowing tide. You remember now how a voice can change your heartbeat, how a memory can flutter your chest, how a goodbye can make it. The traveler in the tale, the one chasing the raven, feels this too. His journey isn't logical, it's emotional. He doesn't follow maps, he follows meaning. And isn't that what emotion is? A compass, not always accurate, but always guiding. You walk on. The trees sway gently above, their leaves murmuring. In winds you cannot see, and you think of the brain, not as a computer, but as a landscape. There are places in it designed just for feeling. The amygdala, the guardian of fear. The hippocampus, the keeper of memory. The insula, the reader of inner states. These regions work together, not to make you emotional, but to make you human. You come upon a small pond, perfectly still. Surface reflects the stars above, but when you kneel beside it, you see your own face ripple with breath. This is what love does. It reflects, it alters perception. It brings you back to yourself, but changed. Inside your chest, your heart continues. Its beat unchanged by the scene, but your experience of it deepened, because emotion colors everything. It doesn't change the world. It changes how the world feels. You remember someone, a touch, a look, a warmth that moved through your ribs like light, and in that memory, your body reacts. Not just mind, but heart, lungs, skin. Emotions are full body experiences. Not abstract, but cellular. Not imaginary, but real. You stand again. The pond behind you. The path ahead winds gently, lit by fireflies. And as you walk, you notice your own rhythm, the way your footsteps begin to match your breathing. The way your breathing matches your pulse. This is coherence. The nervous system in harmony. The heart and brain in gentle agreement. Not silence, but understanding. Somewhere ahead, the traveler nears the enchanted castle. He does not know why he keeps going, only that he must. And you, too, feel this pull. Not urgency, not fear, but longing. A quiet magnetic pull of curiosity. The desire to connect, to reach what's waiting, to understand what's sleeping. But first, you must feel, because no spell breaks without emotion. No journey deepens without the heart. And now that your heart is listening, you're ready to hear the deeper rhythm, the rhythm of sleep, the slowing, the stillness, the soft descent into the castle of rest. Where magic rests not in words, but in waves. The forest falls silent, not empty, but suspended. A breath held, a hush that feels sacred. You step lightly now, the ground soft and shadowed beneath your feet. The fireflies have dimmed. The winds have stilled. Even the raven, somewhere above, folds its wings and disappears into the canopy. Ahead, you see it. The castle. Not grand, not golden, but quiet, still, wrapped in vines, nestled deep in the woods, like something the world has forgotten or chosen to remember gently. You step closer. Each footfall feels slower, heavier, like the very air is made of dreams. The spell lies thick upon the castle walls. It's not darkness. It's not danger. It's sleep. The kind of sleep that comes when the body is finally allowed to rest. The kind that isn't forced, but invited. The kind that doesn't pull you down, it lets you go. And just like that, your own body responds. You lie down at the edge of the castle's garden, where moss glows faintly beneath the moonlight. You close your eyes, and the story continues. inside you. Because now it's time to talk about sleep. Not as mystery, not as myth, but as miracle. Sleep is not the absence of thought. It is the rearranging of it. Your brain, even as you rest, is awake in its own way, cleansing, repairing, sorting. It cycles through stages like chapters in its own quiet book. There is non-REM sleep, slow wave, deep, restorative. And there is REM sleep, rapid eye movement, the dream world. Each phase with a purpose, each wave with wisdom. Your heartbeat slows, your muscles release. The temperature of your body drops ever so slightly, a signal that it's safe to let go. And deep within, the glial cells begin their work. These unsung caretakers of the brain sweep through the neural pathways, clearing away waste, pruning what's unneeded, making space for tomorrow's thoughts. It's called the glymphatic system, a gentle rinse for your mind, and it only activates when you sleep. As your breathing deepens, your brain becomes more efficient, not less. It consolidates memories, strengthens new skills, regulates emotions, and stores meaning in places you can't always reach when you're awake. You dream. You don't remember every detail, but the experience changes you. It gives you what waking life cannot. Scientists believe dreams help process emotional memories, especially the ones that don't make sense yet. It's like the brain sits quietly with your feelings, rearranging them like puzzle pieces on a soft velvet table. In this castle of stillness, the girl sleeps beneath the spell. She does not struggle. She does not resist, because sleep is not surrender. It is surrender with purpose. You begin to feel that now, not just rest, but restoration. Your body is repairing tissue, balancing hormones, refueling cells, rebuilding immune strength, and it does this without any effort from you. No decision, no control. Just trust. Isn't that what spells often ask for in stories? A kind of trust, a faith that something deeper is working behind the scenes. Sleep works like that, invisible, quiet, and sacred. And yet, we resist it, don't we? In the world of waking, sleep is often seen as weakness, something to delay, to fight, to shrink. But here, in this moment, you feel the truth. Sleep is power, the kind of power that doesn't shout. It restores in silence. And in doing so, it prepares you to rise. You feel your limbs grow heavy, not with exhaustion, but with permission. The mind, once spinning, now slows into soft orbits. Thoughts no longer demand answers. They drift, like boats unmoored on a quiet sea. You're entering the hypnagogic state, that magical place between waking and dreaming. It's where creativity is born, where inspiration often visits. Here, logic loosens, images float, connections form that waking thought cannot create. Edison and Da Vinci both drifted here deliberately, resting with one eye half open, chasing the edge of dreams for ideas. But you need chase nothing. You're simply here, resting in the garden of your own biology. And in that stillness, you notice something else. Sleep is not only personal, it's universal. Birds sleep in shifts. Whales sleep half a brain at a time. Trees follow circadian rhythms. Even single-celled organisms rest. Rest is not weakness. It is rhythm, built into life itself. The circadian rhythm, your internal clock, ticks behind your eyes, controlled by a tiny bundle of cells in the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It reads the light. It signals the time. It tells your body when to wake and when to let go. You feel that clock now, but not as ticking. More like the ocean's tide, pulling you gently inward. The stars above twinkle through the branches. The castle beside you waits. The spell holds, but it is not a trap. It is a gift, just like your own sleep, not an interruption of life, but a part of it, an essential one. You close your eyes completely, and the world narrows to breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale again. You feel your body hum with quiet purpose. Not thinking, not fixing, just being. The feather, once fallen from the sky, now rests gently beside you, a symbol of surrender, of descent, of the beautiful gravity that pulls all things toward rest. And in this quiet place, you understand the story. Anew. The traveler rests. The princess dreams. The raven waits in stillness. Everything is paused, not broken, but preparing, because rest is not the end of the tale. It is the breath between chapters, the cocoon before flight. And now your body is wrapped in that same stillness, spellbound, but safe, still but alive. And just as you begin to slip into your own dreaming world, you wonder softly, if sleep repairs the body, what does it awaken in the soul? Time does not pass here. It hovers, suspended like mist, soft, shapeless. You lie beneath the sleeping castle sky, the stars unchanged, though you can't tell how long you've been here. Seconds stretch, minutes fold. Because when you sleep, time unbuttons itself, not just in stories, not just in dreams, but in your very mind. Time, as you know it when you're awake, clock time, calendar time, schedules and seconds, is a construct, a useful one, a necessary one, but not a constant. Your brain doesn't feel time. It guesses it. It builds it. Right now, your body rests in one moment, but your thoughts stretch far beyond it, remembering the forest, sensing the castle, drifting. Through dream, this is the puzzle of time. You sit at the edge of a stone fountain, water frozen mid-fall, not with ice, but with stillness. A bird perches above, unmoving. The whole scene feels paused, like a painting. And within that pause, you feel your own awareness expand, because the brain does not experience time like a clock. It measures it through attention, through rhythm, through change. When nothing changes, time seems to stop. When everything changes, time seems to rush. You remember moments that felt endless, the waiting room, the sleepless night. You remember others that vanished, the laughter, the flight, the falling in love. Both were time, but neither was measured by a watch. Only by you. Inside your brain, a small cluster of neurons helps track these fleeting perceptions. The suprachiasmatic nucleus keeps your circadian rhythm in tune. Other systems in the hippocampus and cerebellum shape your internal stopwatch, but none of it is exact. And that's the wonder. You stand now. The air is thick with slow movement, as though every leaf falls at a gentler speed. You walk forward, through the courtyard, past vines and sleeping statues. And as you walk, you think of how dreams distort time. In a single night, your mind might live an entire day. You might walk through cities, fall in love, solve problems, face fears, all within minutes. It's called temporal dilation. The brain untethers from linear order. It folds and loops. It rewinds. It invents. In dreams, the boundaries of time dissolve. That's why dreams can feel so real. Not because they make sense, but because they disregard time. You step through an arched doorway, into a hallway lined with tall, ticking clocks, but none are synchronized. One spins forward. One runs backward. Another ticks once, then stops. This is your memory, not orderly shells, but moments stitched by emotion, not sequenced. Your brain remembers through meaning, not through timestamps. It recalls what mattered. It fades what didn't. It links feelings, not minutes. That's why smells can pull you into childhood. Why music brings back faces. Why a name you haven't spoken in years can reappear in a dream. You pause beside one of the clocks. Its hands melt softly, like dollies, not broken, but fluid. You touch it, and in that moment, you understand. Time inside you is elastic. Stress speeds it up. Stillness slows it down. Right now, your nervous system is in harmony. Your heart is slow. Your breath is even. Your brain waves have shifted into theta, a state of deep relaxation and creativity. In this rhythm, time becomes gentle. You walk again, passing a room with a window looking out at dawn, and another still set in dusk. This is how memory travels. Not through corridors, but through contrast. You remember not the hour, but the feeling. And science agrees. When the brain encodes time, it often encodes what changed. It looks for edges. Shifts. Moments when the world felt different. That's why. New experiences feel longer. Why routine feels fast. Why childhood summers seemed endless. Because the brain stretches time through novelty. And now, in this castle of stillness, you are noticing again. And so, time slows. You reach the highest tower and stand where the princess once slept. The spell still lingers, but in your body, you feel no urgency to wake, because some spells are not meant to be broken quickly. Some are meant to be understood. The traveler in the tale waits too, not rushing, not demanding. Because love, true care, respects time's softness. And you, here now, rest inside that softness. As the wind moves the curtains gently, and your own thoughts drift, you begin to ask, if time stretches in dream and memory, lives without clocks, then what is now? And how long can we rest in the moment before waking? The forest breathes again. Softly, slowly, as if the trees are whispering old truths in a language older than sound. You wander now, not in search of anything, but in quiet curiosity, the kind that grows only in stillness. A castle rests behind. You, heavy with silence and soft spells. Ahead, the trees part like a curtain, revealing another layer, not of the forest, but of your own mind. And in this layer, there are shapes, faint at first, then clearer. A feather, a crown, a door. You are not afraid of them. You recognize them, even if you don't know how. This is the realm of symbols. Not letters, not logic, but meaning, carried in shape, in image. In dream, you pause beside a small pool, still and moonlit. Its surface ripples, and from within rise fragments. A wolf, a mirror, a flame, not real, but felt. You're not dreaming now, not quite, but you're drifting. And in that drift, your subconscious begins to speak. The mind, after all, is not just a machine for thinking. It's a mirror. And when it reflects inward, especially in sleep, it speaks not in facts, but in metaphors. Carl Jung called them archetypes, universal images buried deep in the collective mind. The wise old man, the lost child, the shadow self, the animal, guide, the enchanted forest. You see them in myths, in fairy tales, in dreams, and now here. You walk slowly through the trees. They change shape, not violently, but fluidly. A tree becomes a staircase. A branch becomes a key. A raven watches. From above, its black feathers glinting like stars. What does it mean? Not literally, but symbolically. The raven has followed you, guided you, and yet said nothing. That's what symbols do. They don't explain. They reveal. Your mind, especially in sleep, makes meaning this way. It pulls from memory, emotion, instinct, and weaves images that stand in for something deeper. A house can mean safety. A storm can mean grief. A locked door might not mean anything until you feel what it blocks. You sit beneath a weeping willow. Its long limbs hang around you like curtains. The air smells of pine and rain. You think of your own dreams, how strange they are. How illogical. How vivid, and yet, how right they feel while you dream them. That's because dreams don't follow reason. They follow association, emotion. Your brain, while dreaming, is less focused on reality and more tuned to meaning. Science has studied this. During REM sleep, the prefrontal cortex, the center of logic and planning, goes quiet. Meanwhile, emotional and visual centers light up. This means the brain isn't resting. It's storytelling, but without words. Dreams, in a sense, are poetry the brain writes for itself. Symbols, like verses, carry weight. Not because they're exact, but because they resonate. You walk again. Through tall grass that glows faintly blue. The raven follows, silent and steady. And as you walk, you wonder, what symbols do you carry? What image repeats itself in your sleep? What shape stirs you for no reason? What pattern do you notice again and again, and feel, somehow, that it matters? These are the signs your mind sends, not to confuse, but to connect. Because we all project. We look at the world and see stories. Not just what's there, but what it means to us. And that's not a flaw. It's a feature. The brain is built to recognize patterns, to find the familiar in the strange, to make a forest feel like a map, to make a raven feel like a message. You come to a stone circle where symbols are carved in ancient spirals. You don't know their names, but somehow you understand. Somewhere between the science and the story, your mind has made peace with the puzzle. Not every dream has a lesson. Not every shadow hides fear. Sometimes a symbol is just a feeling that needs a shape, and giving it shape, giving it space, is healing. You lie back on soft moss. Above you, the branches weave symbols into the stars. A hand, an eye, a doorway. The raven lands beside you. It does not speak, but its presence speaks enough. It is memory. It is mystery. It is the watcher in the woods, and just before your eyes, close completely. You think, if the mind speaks in symbols, then dreams are its language. And maybe the most important meanings are the ones you don't yet understand. A breeze stirs the leaves, not harsh, not sudden, just enough to signal something has shifted. The spell is breaking, not with thunder, not with noise, but with breath. Soft, full, steady. You sit up slowly, still nestled in the moss. The raven watches. From a nearby branch, it tilts its head, not as a warning, but as a witness. Something is ending. Something is beginning. The castle ahead begins to glow. Vines loosen. Windows blink with light. A stillness lifts, not erased, but transformed. Spell breaks gently, as healing often does, because healing isn't always sudden. It comes like this: a deep sigh, a muscle unclenching, a weight leaving the chest that you forgot was there. Your body knows this feeling. It doesn't need the story to be literal. It only needs resolution, safety, relief. And even in dreams, even in imagined forests, that release is real. Science calls it nervous system regulation. It's the shift from fight or flight into rest and digest, from cortisol to calm, from hyper-awareness to wholeness. You walk toward the castle, not because you must, but because your body is ready. Inside, everything is the same and different. The air is clearer. The light is warmer. The silence no longer feels like a spell, but like sanctuary. In the story, the princess opens her eyes. She does not remember every detail of the curse, but her body does. Trauma can work like that. Not only what happened, but how the body held it. The tight jaw, the fast pulse, the dreams you didn't understand. You step into the great hall. Dust glows in the golden light. A long table stretches before you, untouched, waiting. This is what healing is. A return. not to what was, but to what can be in your own mind. Something shifts as well. The systems that once braced for impact now soften. The amygdala, your fear center, quiets. The prefrontal cortex, your reasoning mind, brightens. The vagus nerve hums low and steady, a lullaby for your organs. Your body, in its own language, says, I am safe now. You touch the long table and remember how often you held stress without realizing. Shoulders raised, breath shallow, thoughts circling. But here, in this story, you are free, not because you fought, but because you rested. The science is simple and profound. When we feel safe, our biology changes. Heart rate slows, muscles unwind, the immune system reboots. Digestion resumes. The parasympathetic nervous system, often overshadowed, comes alive. This is the system of healing, of repair, of sleep, of peace. And here, as the last bits of spell fade from the walls, you feel that system rise like sunlight. Not all wounds need words. Some need stillness. Some need stories. Some need silence that says, you're okay now. You walk through the corridors, once dark, now lit by lanterns. Your memory returns, not as fact, but as feeling. This room held your fear. That stair held your grief. This window once watched you ache, but now they are just rooms, just stairs, just windows. This is how healing reshapes memory. It does not erase. It reinterprets. The brain, when given safety and time, will rewrite fear into learning, tension into signal, story into strength. You enter the final room. She is there, the one who slept, the part of you that paused. Eyes open, breathing calm. She does not rush to rise. She simply sees you and smiles, because some spells are broken not by magic, but by meeting. By being seen, by being felt, by being allowed to exist without fixing. The princess does not speak, but her presence says everything. You made it. You stayed. You softened. And so you sit beside her. Two parts of the same self, reunited. No drama, no celebration. Just quiet knowing. And in this moment, your heart, your literal physical heart, beats in balance, coherent, steady, restored, because healing is not a switch. It is a rhythm, a return. And now the story prepares to shift again, not to chaos, not to urgency. But to rising, to reflection, to release. Outside, the sun begins to rise. The raven circles high, then disappears into the light. The castle exhales. And so do you. But before you rise, before you step into the final chapter, you ask softly, if a spell can be broken, can a life be rewritten? Can a breath, just one breath, begin again? The wind returns, not as a storm, but as a sigh, a soft exhale through the leaves, stirring the trees awake. You step into the garden once more. The castle behind you now glows gently, no longer cloaked in stillness, but in peace. And in the center of the garden, where the moss remains soft and gold, something stirs. A feather, the same one you followed so long ago. Only now, it's rising, not fast, not urgent. But slowly, as if lifted by memory, by breath, by release. You watch it drift upward, spiraling in reverse, back toward the sky it once fell from. And as it rises, so do you. Your thoughts feel lighter, not because they've disappeared, but because you've walked with them, felt them, understood them. You step forward, and each footfall feels like a return, not to where you began, but to where you've become, because you are different now, not changed in name, but in rhythm. Sleep has moved through you, like a stream through a dry garden, like music through still air, like light through the deepest parts of your mind. You breathe in. The forest responds. You've learned to listen to neurons that spark like fireflies, to dreams that speak in symbols, to a heart that holds rhythm as language, to a brain that bends time like water. You've wandered through the science of sleep, not with a microscope, but with wonder. And wonder is a kind of knowledge, a kind that holds rather than dissects. The feather continues to lift. Higher now. Beyond the trees, you follow, not with steps, but with stillness. Your mind drifts. You remember the neural forest, the way thoughts branch and bloom. You remember the language of light, how your body speaks without words. You remember the spell, how healing came not through action, but through rest. And you remember the raven, always watching, never speaking, but guiding just the same. Maybe the raven was your attention. Maybe the feather was your breath. Maybe the forest was your mind, untamed, beautiful, alive. You close your eyes, and in that soft darkness, you see everything again, the mirror of memory. The neuron paths, the synapse sparks, the rhythmic heart, the symbols of dream. All of it, part of you, because sleep doesn't just repair the body, it reveals the self you forget in the noise, the self that waits in silence. And now, as the story nears its final breath, you feel it, the deepest quiet, the most sacred kind, not empty, but full of the science that never needed to be loud, full of the softness that rewires, full of the silence that restores. The feather disappears into the morning sky. The stars fade behind it. And you lie down, the moss beneath you cool and familiar. You feel your heartbeat, not racing, but returning. You feel your breath, not shallow, but slow. Your nervous system hums in its rhythm. Your muscles soften into stillness, and the mind, that glorious, dreaming mind, settles into the final phase of sleep. REM, rapid eye movement, the land of dreams. Your eyes, though closed, begin to shift gently beneath the lids, not from fear, not from thought. But from the dreams beginning to form, like petals opening in moonlight. And in these dreams, you may return to the castle. You may find the raven again. You may wander forests that never end, or you may drift without form. Just awareness, floating like a feather. Scientists can measure sleep stages. They can track brain waves, monitor movement, record REM cycles. They cannot measure meaning. That part is yours, and always will be. You are not just a sleeper. You are a dreamer, a rememberer, a translator of light and shadow. And now the story falls away, not with a close, but with a fade, the way dreams do, the way feathers rise, the way sleep wraps around you like a soft thought. And as you drift into the quiet, you remember the first. Question: what does it mean to fall asleep to a raven's whisper? Now you know. It means to listen, to slow, to let go. And to trust that even in sleep, even in silence, you are healing. You are whole. You are home. And now, as our story gently fades, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending this moment with me. Your presence here means the world, and your support helps me create even more peaceful journeys. Just for you. If this helped you rest, please consider liking, subscribing, or simply coming back tomorrow night. Until then, stay cozy, stay kind, and may your dreams tonight be soft, serene, and full of wonder. Good night, my friend. With warmth, David.